What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to my small engine repair channel. Today we are going to be discussing how to start a small engine repair business. These are the steps that I took when I opened my small engine repair shop. They may vary a little bit depending on where you live, what state you live in, what country you live in. But these are the steps that I followed when I opened my small engine repair shop. I live here in Utah, so these are the steps that I took. Some of the steps may be same for the federal process, the state process if you live here in Utah. But these are the steps that I followed, and you can look into what process it is in your state and see if they're similar, or at least it will give you a good guideline to follow in order to get yours started. So the first thing you want to get started with, or the first thing to do to get started, is to file for a Federal Employee Identification Number. They call this the FEIN number. You do that by going to irs.gov. You can search that on Google or whatever, but you are looking for the SS-4, the number 4 form, the SS-4 form. This is the form that you need to fill out and send back in to get your FEIN number. If you do it online, you can fill out the application online, and I believe they send that back to you instantaneously. If I remember right, you submit it and they send you, they show you a piece of paper online with your FEIN number on it, and then they'll also send you a copy in the mail. But once you have that FEIN number, that's your number for good. You have that. That's your number that you use for a lot of things. So hold on to that number. Don't forget it. Set it aside in a safe place. Once you have that FEIN number, then you go to the state. In my state, first thing I needed to do was register for a business name. So I put in the business name that I wanted, what I thought was a cool name, typed it in. They said, well, it doesn't appear that anybody has this name, but let's search a little farther. So it took 1 to 2 business days, and they came back and said, great, you can have that business name. Now it's tied to you and that FEIN number you input. So now me and my FEIN number, the FEIN number and that business name were attached. So from there, I went into the state's application process, and that's where I started to create my business. Me personally, I went with an LLC. You can talk to your legal advisors, your business advisor, tax advisor, whatever. I don't give any legal advice, but talk to whoever you use to get legal advice and answers for your business, and they can advise you which way to go. But for me personally, I decided it was best to go for an LLC. So here in the state process, that's where I formed, my LLC. There were several steps involved with that. The state was really good here in Utah with helping me figure out how to do that. There were several steps involved. I had to form articles of incorporation. I had to fill out several documents. But again, they were super helpful in helping me determine exactly what I needed to do along the way to get that formed. So once I filled out that application and got all those documents in play, I submitted that application. Boom. My business was formed with my business name, and I was an LLC. And I was listed on the state website, and it was all attached to my FEIN number. So now the federal government with my FEIN number was attached to the state, which had my FEIN number and also my business name. So now what? You have a business name, you're registered in your state. Now you need, if you are a business in Utah, services are taxable. So being a service in the service industry, and also being going to be able to sell parts, I was going to be collecting sales tax. So the next thing I did was applied for a sales and use tax license. This allowed me to collect sales tax, also made me accountable to pay sales tax. So some people do this on the side. Some people do this in their backyard. Some people do this, cash only basis. If this is you, this is not the way to go, because once they have all this information, they will require you to file. I don't know if they require you to file quarterly. You might be able to do it at the end of the year. I file quarterly, so every 3 months I send in the sales tax that I've collected over that period, just to break it down so it's a smaller number. But I went in with my FEIN number, my business name, and applied for a sales and use tax license. So I now have an actual hard license that I hang in my shop that shows that I'm able and liable to collect sales tax. So after that, so we've got my FEIN number, I've got a state business license, and I've got a sales and use tax license for the state of Utah. Next thing I had to do was get a city business license. So being able to operate my business in the city that I live in. So I had to go to the city, figure out their business license application, and fill that out with all the criteria, which included having to provide my FEIN number, provide my business name, all the state documentation that I've already filled out, my sales and use tax license number, and then various things required for the city. My shop is on my personal property. I own an acre of land, and I have a detached shop, 30 by 40 shop. So that's where I perform my business. That's where I run my business from. So it's a home-based business is what they call it. And so to get a business license for that, there were several things that had to take place. If you're performing a business in a commercial shop, there will probably be several more things that will take place in terms of inspections. You'll probably have to have the fire marshal come out, inspect that. There's probably a lot more involved in that I don't know about. But for me, being a home-based business, there were a couple things that did have to take place. I had to make sure that there wasn't going to be a huge amount of traffic increase since I live in a neighborhood. I kind of live in a neighborhood. I live in the neighborhood, but I live right off of a major highway. I had to make sure that I wasn't going to be causing excessive noise, causing a disturbance to the neighbors, some stuff like that. And then I did have to self-declare to the fire department for the fire marshal that I wasn't, that I took care of all the hazardous materials, that I wasn't carrying excessive amounts of gasoline, that I was disposing of my oil properly, things like that, that I have fire extinguishers, that I update them yearly, and I have to actually certify all of that stuff every year when I renew my business license. So a couple things there, but like I said, everywhere is going to be different, especially if you have a commercial property where you're running your shop. But if you have a home-based business or you're running out of your garage or whatever, you're probably going to run into something similar. But make sure you're doing it right, because these guys will come and shut you down quick. They'll fine you and shut you down pretty quick if you're just doing it out of your garage and trying to go around without getting licenses. So this is what I did. Like I said, I tried to do everything right from the beginning before I even started, just so there was no issues. And actually, by doing this this way, I've actually got a contract with the city that I maintain all their equipment. So it's worked out really good for me. But anyways, once I applied with the city, I got my license there, and I was ready to go rock and roll. Could open my doors and start taking business. Once everything's legal and I am able to open my doors and take business, now what? Well, you've got to have parts. You've got to get customers. You have to have an inventory system, customer management system, all those things. Also, you want to have a bank account. So after the city gave me my business license, now you have all the information to go get a bank account. So go open a bank account with your business name. Take in your FEIN number. Take in proof of your business name or business that's been approved from the state. Take in a copy of all that information and go open a bank account through your business name. That way there's no ifs, ands, or buts about how you're managing your money and anything like that. That way everything is simple for your accountant at the end of the year. Everything can be run through your business account. And if you do everything like this, just managing your money from your business side, there's a lot of things you can write off. And there's lots of advantages that way. I won't get into the details there again. I'm not a legal advisor. I don't give you any advice, but there's lots of benefits to having your business set up and run this way. But go open a bank account and get yourself a credit card, debit card, whatever, so you can make all your purchases through your account. And then get an inventory, customer management system, whatever you want. There's lots out there. You can search which ones you want to use. Me personally, I have used QuickBooks. I have the one where you just download it on the computer, and then you can use it as long as you want until you either update it or get a new system. It was, I can't remember. I want to say it was $150 maybe for that system. And so it's just the one-time fee, and now I've got the whole program and I can do what I need to on that. That's been great for me. I've been able to custom make invoices, so I can invoice my customers, make custom invoices with my logo, my business address, all that stuff on there. I've been able to retain all my customers' information, name, address, phone number, email, anything like that. I've also been able to have an inventory system on there. I have all my parts by part number, who I bought it from, cost, how much I sell it for, how many I have in stock, when I need to reorder from. I personally like QuickBooks a lot. If you're a huge shop, you might need something a bit different, but it's been great for me, and I don't see myself changing anytime soon. So just starting out, you may want to look into something like that. Plus, my accountant can just take that program quarterly. They take a copy of it, do all my quarterly sales tax. They reconcile my bank account every month. They take it at the end of the year and figure out my tax returns, all that stuff like that. So it's been really good for me. So QuickBooks might be something you want to check into, but like I said, there's others out there that some people use. Some are free, I believe. Some are a monthly service. Like I said, I don't know much about those, but check into those. And then parts. Where do you get your parts? Do you stock parts? That's all up to you. Personally, I've tried to run my business where I get things in the shop, turn them around quick. I like to get things in and out as quick as I can. So personally, it's been beneficial for me to stock parts. I don't stock random stuff that's going to sit on the shelf for 1 year, 2 years, 5 years. But I do stock lots of fast moving air filters, spark plugs, oil filters, lots of oils, a lot of fast moving stuff that I use day in and day out. And you'll figure out which parts you will use and which parts of the fast moving stuff in your area. Every area is different, obviously, depending on what the big box stores sell, depending on what the other small engine shops, the equipment that they're selling. So you don't have to just go out and buy a whole bunch of parts right off the bat. Figure out what starts coming in and make note of what parts you are buying right off the bat to fix your customer's equipment. And then, maybe buy one or two. When you buy one for a customer, buy 2 or 3 of them and start stocking up that way, unless it seems way off base. So that's kind of how I started. And now I've grown to have, a huge parts inventory, and I burned through it pretty quick. I make several big parts orders every year, just to replenish it. And I burned through it pretty quick. And it's nice to have a part on hand when I pull something off, say, oh yeah, I've got that here. Instead of having to either order it and find somebody who has it and get it here in a timely fashion, or try and find it somewhere with free shipping, or having to charge the customer for shipping. If there's a, if I have to buy a spark plug, say I'm just starting out and I have to order a spark plug. There's a $3.99 spark plug's not a good example because you can go down to O'Reilly or AutoZone or whatever, but say there's an air filter, you need to go buy a $5 air filter. If you have to go online and buy a $5 air filter and it's going to cost you $7.95 to ship it, I believe that's what Jack's Small Engine charges or something, $7.95 maybe, that's their standard fee, $7.95 to ship it. Now your air filter is $13 that you're charging the customer. I mean, what? And then if you want to add profit on top of that, some people I hear, say they increase their profit, or they add 30%, 50%, 60% on top of their parts to make a profit. I mean, what are you going to charge the customer? $20 for a $5 air filter? So it's good to have these parts in stock so you don't have to charge shipping. It's easier to charge so you can make a profit. If you buy a $5 air filter, you can charge them $7, $8 so you can make a profit. Also, you can have, if you buy through distributors, you actually get discounts so that you can make a profit. So if you have parts distributors, you get wholesale pricing so that you can sell it at MSRP and still make a profit. So say you get a super cheap customer, which happens, and they call you up and say, hey, how much do you have this air filter for? Home Depot has it for $11.95, and you look it up. Oh yeah, well, I've got it for $11.90 because you bought it for $5.87 or whatever from your parts distributor. So there's a big advantage that way too. So get connected with your parts distributors in your area. Once you have a business name, an FEIN number, and a business, a tax ID number, whatever, then you can, once you have an actual business, these parts distributors will begin to look at you. So whether you're looking for OEM parts or aftermarket parts, aftermarket, you're looking for rotary or Stens. I personally won't ever go with Stens. I've had issues with them, and I'll personally never order through them, but they are an aftermarket part. Rotary is great. They've been really good to me. And then look for the OEM companies as well in your area. Power Distributors is really good. They're mostly Briggs. But then there's some others that vary depending on your region. So a lot of them have minimum parts orders to get started, and then a lot of them have minimum order amounts to get free shipping. So keep that in mind. But like I say, if you've got, just start a cart, if you will. And, if you're not in a rush to get something for a customer, or like I said, if you have a spark plug for a customer and you want 2 or 3 of them, put the 3 in the cart. And then once you reach that, your order price to get free shipping, then have it shipped, if that makes sense. Sorry, I didn't explain that very well. But so Power Distributors, for instance, they have a $200 freight allowance. So you have to spend $200 to get free freight. So, if I see something and I'm like, hey, I'm getting low on these, I'm going to get 5 more of them. I put those 5 in my cart. And hey, I need 3 more of those. I'm going to put those 3 in my cart. And then once my cart reaches $200, then I'll have them ship it. That way I get free freight. So I'm not always just going in there saying, okay, what do I need to add to get to, free freight, and just get a bunch of random stuff. And then it also works out sometimes too, because the customer will bring in some equipment and I'll need a part right away. And I'll be like, crap, I need that part. Oh, you know what? My cart's at $185. This part's $10. I'll order that part. Let's grab 1 more air filter. Boom, get free shipping. I have all my parts here tomorrow. There's a warehouse here in Utah. So with Power Distributors, if I order by 5 p.m. Mountain Time, I get my parts the next day. So it's worked out really well for me. But advertising, you need to start getting customers. So a couple ways to advertise. You can free advertising, obviously, Facebook, your local classifieds, whether that's the local newspaper typically have like online classifieds you can do for free. The Next Door app, kind of like Facebook type deal, but for your neighborhood. You can get some business cards. Those are going to cost you a little bit of money, but definitely get some business cards and send them out with every customer. Word of mouth is huge. Word of mouth is by far my biggest customer base. If you do a good job, you're honest, your prices are good, and customers love you, your personality, you're friendly, and you do a good job and you're honest, customers will eat that up. And they'll tell all their friends, all their family, all their neighbors, and the floodgates are opened. You are off and running. So get some business cards, send those out with your customers. You can start super cheap by going to Vistaprint. You see those commercials, I'm sure, all the time. You can get 500 business cards for $10 or whatever the current promo is. But start there and just get some basic business cards. You don't have to worry about a logo right now. You can just start basic. Pick one of their pre-made cards with a lawnmower on it or anything, a wrench on it. You can do a fancy logo later or whatever, but get some business cards that you can pass to your customers, that they can pass out to their friends. And then once you do start getting customers, to get that word of mouth out, to get more people coming back to you, to get more people aware of you, start a Google business page, a Facebook business page, and ask your customers for reviews. If you get a customer comes in, says, "Oh, wow, thank you so much. You were so fast," or "My machine looks great," or they call you up and say, "Wow, this machine has never ran like this before." Be like, "Thank you so much. Wow, that's awesome. I really appreciate that. Hey, would you mind actually leaving me a review? It would be super helpful for me." They go online, jump online, go on Google, Facebook, both, write you a 5-star review. Boom. Helps you out so much. Especially on Google, the more reviews you have, the more interaction you have, the higher you go on their algorithm or whatever. I'm not a tech guy. I don't understand that, but the higher you go in the searches for people. So people type in, "Hey, small engine repair near me." If you have a lot of reviews or really high reviews, I believe, tell me if I'm wrong, then the higher you will go on the search. So you'll be at the top of the list. So definitely ask for reviews. Those are super important, especially in today's world. Social media can make or break you. If people write bad reviews, that's a whole nother thing. That's a whole nother story, but won't go off on that right now. But ask for reviews. Ask people for reviews. Say, "Hey, I'm just getting started. It would really help me if you were to write me a review, if you feel like you had a good experience." And surprisingly, that will really help you out quite a bit to get new customers. So that we can keep going on. I mean, how far you want to go on into getting your business started. These are kind of to get you off the ground to your first customer. So I think we'll kind of stop right here. But those are the exact steps that I took to get my business started. Thought I'd share some tips with you guys and see if anybody's out there thinking about doing it or getting into the business. Hopefully this will help you out. Now is a great time to do it. Depending on where you live, typically the winter is kind of a slower season. Unless you're kind of in the north end of the country or whatever, and you get a ton of snowblowers. Typically this is kind of a slower season for people. So now would be a great time to get into it when you're slower and you can get things working, get things rolling, just in time for spring to hit. So, if you've ever thought about it or whatever, now's kind of the time to do it. I urge you to jump into it. It's a great place to be. So anyways, thanks for joining in. I'm just rambling now, but thanks for watching. If you like this, comment, subscribe, like. I don't know, I'm new to this, so just whatever you guys do that you do, but comment, like, subscribe, I guess, and let me know what you guys did to get started, or how you got started, or how long you've been in the business. And if you have any tips for the other viewers as well on how to get started, and otherwise we'll leave it at that. So thanks again for watching. You guys have a great day.